Hello. Chuna stáisiúh. Go maith, that's cluisiint, é sin. Míle buíoch a bheith páirt an córá seo, agus míle buíoch a núla canar an deis seo a thuirtam. Tá scéal beag agam díobh agus is tócha gur scéal mór ma héal atá gceist. I created a show called Spliced, and it's like an autobiographical story of my time playing GAA and then time outside it, and I'm going to share a few parts of it with you. So I'm a GAA man. GAA, Gaelic Athletic Association, as you know. Child, boy, man, GA man. The GA, as we call it, is the largest non-political organisation in Ireland with over 500,000 members. Hurling, or imant, played with a common and a schlitter, I forgot the schlitter, is one of our national sports, and it's the fastest field sport in the world. It's like the rugby of New Zealand, the ice hockey of Canada, or the shinty of Scotland, but way better. My club is Cumann Luclas Gael Baile an Aspig, or Bishopstown GAA Club. Bishopstown is a suburb of Cork City, population about 25,000. It has a hospital, 2 shocking pubs, a shopping centre that was built in the 70s that would give you the creeps, a Lidl, an Aldi, a Paddy Power, a Ladbrokes, a Boyle Sports, a Costa, and a GAA club. The club is the centre of the community, our social parish, our church, our religion. The club never changes. It's always the same. It rewards skill, enthusiasm, self-sacrifice, and commitment. We think the same, we like the same, we hate the same. A true GAA man is a lifelong servant. See, I wasn't born a GAA man. I became one. My father is a sports fanatic, and he would proudly bring me up to the club every Saturday morning as a child, front seat of the car, helmet on, boots on, hand in the hurley, just the two of us. I was absolutely fucking useless. But it didn't bother me, because for the first time in my life, I was part of something outside of my family. A movement, a community, a tribe. And I went to an all-boys school then, and the hurlers were the elite. Men amongst boys. The options were chess, maths, or debating at lunchtime. Not for me. Out in the field with the ball, I was happy out. We got homework off, skipped class, extra milk, free sausage rolls, and all the attention. I could see why the other students would be pissed off. Match day was like a free pass. The talk was of new boots, new gear, new hurleys, new jerseys, and old dolls. You had to look the part to be the part. My best pals and my oldest memories are from the GAA. You see, the GAA keeps small communities and larger ones in Ireland alive. There's over 2,300 clubs on this island, another 400 scattered around the world, and in Cork alone, there's 265 clubs. We're connected everywhere we go. Adragol, Ahabolog, Ahada, Ahoina, Arragadine Rangers, Ballinacurra, Ballinascarty, Ballincollig, Ballinhassig, Ballinora, Ballinor, Ballyclaw, Ballydesmond, Ballygarvan, Ballygiblin, Ballyhay, Ballyhooly, Ballymartle, Ballyvan, Bally, 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 Bandon, Bantier, Bantry Blues, Barry Row, Ballingeary, Belgooly, Bear Island, Bishopstown, Blackrock, Blarney, Boherbue, Brian Dillons, Bride Rovers, Buttevant, Canavee, Carbery Rangers, Carrignavar, Carrigaline, Carrigtool, Castlehaven, Castlelyons, Castlemagner, Castlemartyr, Castlelambert, Castlehanroach, Charleville, Churchtown, Kilnamartyra, CIT, Clonakilty, Clodove, Clyne, Clyde Rovers, Cove, Courcy Rovers, Crosshaven, Cullen, Deal Rovers, Delaney, Dennis O'Flaherty's, Dermot O'Mahunas, Donny's, Donerail, Dunamore, Douglas, Tripsy, Dromina, Drumtariff, Dungorney, Ayr Oak, Erin's Own, Fermoy, Fremont, Gabriel Rangers, Garnish, Glenworth, Glenalee, Glenbower, Glengarriff, Glenlara, Goleen, Grange, Granat, Island Rovers, Ivleary, Kanturk, Kilbrin, Kilbritton, Kildare, Kilavollin, Killa, Kilmaccabee, Kilbree, Kilmurray, Kilmichael, Kilshannon, Kilworth, Kinsale, Kishcame, Knocknagree, Lekra, Oak. Liscarroll, Lisgool, Lismire, Rovers, Mallow, Mayfield, Meelan, Middleton, Milford, Millstreet, Mitchelstown, Winter Vora, Na Pearshigs, Neva Bon, Nemo Rangers, Newcestown, Newmarket, O'Donovan Rossa, Passage West, Randallogue, Ratpeakin, Redmonds, Rochestown, Rockchapel, Shamrock, Shamballymoor, Sarsfields, St. Catherine's, St. Columns, St. Finbar's, St. Ita's, St. James, St. John's, St. Mary, St. Michael, St. Nicholas, St. Oliver Plunkett, St. Vincent's, Tigmacorrigs, Tracton, Tullylease, UCC, Orhan, Valley Rovers, August, y'all. And out of all the clubs in the world, there was only one that mattered. Bishopstown. 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 Fair play. That's what I signed up for, the maroon and white of Bishopstown. So that's part of Act 1, which is all about the training, the physicality, the medals, the winning, the machoism, the chat, the crack, the sex, until it becomes too much for me and there's a breaking point and the physicality of the piece switches from rigid to more fluid. And I find myself snowboarding in Whistler for way longer than I should have been. And I start doing some yoga and I fall into acting and I get the opportunity to be in a movie. And then I find myself as a GAA man at drama school in Oxford. Stripped back, fully exposed on my own. Dialogue-based learning. I had no choice. I had to speak. We were doing plays. Voice and speech class. What to do today, at a minute or two to two. We'll beat the drum at 20 to 2 or rat-a-tat-tat-tat-tat-tat-2. And the dragon will come when we beat the drum at 20 to 2 to 2 to 2. Repetition, 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 repetition. Walking and talking like an Englishman. Clown class. Easy. Ballet, pirouettes, leotards, musical theatre cast as the leprechaun. Is this what it's like to be mortal? When I'm not near the girl I love the girl I'm near. Yoga in the morning, unreal. Throwing energy balls, giving birth to myself. What would the GAA boys say to this? Being a mountain. Being the color yellow. Being a teapot. Being a scarf. Bonkers, but brilliant. We had this self-poetry class where we had to share stories from our lives. All my stories and poems were about the GAA. Winning, losing, matches, medals, nights out, training, and the bios. I was GAA to my core like a stick of rock. That's all I was. That's all I had. Pathetic. So I figured the only way to broaden my vision and inhabit the actor was to banish the sportsman. And Act 2 is kind of an exorcism of the sports mind and sports body using yoga, which culminates with me in a G-string bouncing off the walls of the court. Which then leads to Act 3. And Act 3 was the hard part. Because I was free. Awake. Yogic. Open. I thought things would just fall into place, but it turns out life isn't actually that simple. And I tried to distance myself from that part of myself, but it turns out it never leaves you. But to prove to myself that I had emerged from this period as a rounded individual, I wanted to see if I could go back playing hurling free of the culture. I went back as a spy. I felt like I was infiltrating the IRA. They embraced me, wary at the beginning, but happy to see me. The hippie hurler, they call me. I love that, like. The more hippie hurlers and hipster hurlers there are, the better. So I got back into the swing of things, blended in like old times, back into the ritual of it. The hurley in my hand, out in the field, liberated. Didn't care what they thought, I was playing for the pure love of it. Meanwhile, watching how it all worked. Still macho, still closed, still slagging. But they were doing yoga stretches in the warm-up. Progress. I played a few games, I scored a few points, I got back in the team, and then bang, disaster. I scored a goal. And I hadn't scored a goal in 20 years playing in the championship. I was right, yoga and acting and magic mushrooms make you a better sports player. Like, there was only 50 people at the game, right? But imagine scoring in front of 60,000. And just like that, I was back in the pack, out with the lads, cracking jokes. Scary. I then got invited to a wedding of one of the senior lads on the team, and at the church, the captain was asked to say a few words about love and commitment. He stood up, but he couldn't get the words out because he was embarrassed to say something sincere in front of his peers. He laughed, we laughed, the whole church laughed, and he had to sit down. It was excruciating. I was mortified for him. And then at training, I started to notice that some of the lads were wearing these GPS tracking devices under their jerseys. These measured distance, speed, work rate, energy, power. Everything they had done at training was tracked and monitored, sent to a computer so they could check themselves at home against some unknown version of themselves. This is an amateur sport, like. Where is the beauty and the wildness of it going? The next big game then, championship game, I scored 2 points within the first 10 minutes. I was flying it, and I could feel myself slowly getting sucked back in again until fate intervened and I broke my thumb. Like a myth or a message from God telling me to stop playing before I get warped and broken again. Idle, relieved, finally free. That's when I had the idea. I need to make a show about the GAA. It'd be a simple 3-act structure. Act 1, thesis, my sporting life. Act 2, antithesis, non-sporting life. Act 3, synthesis. That's the hard part. Am I the synthesis? Or is the show the synthesis? So I'd make a show about the GAA, and in figuring out the ending, I'd bring it back to my home club, Bishopstown, which I did. I was absolutely bricking myself. One of the biggest challenges of my life. What was I thinking? Like they all came. The manager with the triceratops head. The guy who coined the puppy dolls phrase. The captain who crumbled at the church talking about love. The Hardy boys down the back, and there was me in my G-string giving it socks. Those were the eyes looking up at me as if I had something to tell them. Am I betraying them or trying to open them up? I'd infiltrated the organization and I was using the material to their faces. No turning back. We sold out 5 nights. There was silence. They listened. They laughed. They loved it. And some of them came to me after with tears in their eyes, and they thanked me for articulating something they'd all been struggling with. You see, I was wrong all along. They want change as much as anybody else. There must be a way. So the gamble paid off. I knew then I had a show. I had an ending. I understood the narrative, and it could travel. So I could bring the show to all 2,300 GAA clubs in Ireland. So if I do 50 shows a year, I'll be doing this show for the next 46 years. But those lads give me the confidence to bring the show around the country, which we did on a tour recently. And for the month of August, we were in Edinburgh with the show, and I had to go back and forth to find a suitable sports club, kind of like a squash court. And I tried to bring the hurley with me on the flight, but the security guard classified it as a weapon, and I had to check it in. Just a bit of wood, like. But I felt solid traveling abroad with a weapon. And I arrive at my accommodation in Edinburgh, and across the street there's a man shouting at a woman. He then grabs her by the hair, he pulls her out of the door, and he flings her onto the ground. It turns out Celtic are playing Rangers that day. I've the hurley in my hand. I walk into the middle of the street. I shout at him and stand there. This Scottish brute looks up. He sees me. I see him. Who's going to back down first? And in that moment, I can feel all the lads behind me, the whole club and the history of what this stands for. Bishop stand. Bishop stand. Bishop stand. Bishop stand. I am ready for the fight. And after a few tense moments, he mutters a few words and stumbles off down the street. I go over to the woman. I ask her, is she all right? She bursts into tears, gives me a hug, and goes back into the house. Thanks, lads. The hurley is not a weapon. It's a strength. Thank you.